Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here for today's talk. Our guest today is a chef, entertainer, author, TV personality, entrepreneur, and CEO of his own production company. He has appeared on Chopped on Guy Fieri's Guy's Grocery Games and is the primary culinary consultant for the Drew Barrymore Show. And did I mention, I don't think I did, that he's done all of this and he's not even 21. I am proud to talk today with one of the many people who has accomplished more at 21 or before 21 than I have at 35. Eitan Bernath, come on in. How
Hello.
are
Thank you so
you?
much for that intro. I am doing great. So excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was like thinking about if I were to intro myself, what the list would be. And it'd be like, he's a guy. Anyway, Josh. And I was like, I like looked at yours. I was like, this guy's the most accomplished 20-year-old I met in my entire life.
Thank you. I
It is
appreciate that.
It is so excited to have you. I just want to show this right off the bat. I read this entire thing. It is, you look at this. We're twins. I feel good about this.
Yes.
I want folks to know at home, and I just want to be clear, and we'll get to questions in a second, but I did want to say this about this book. I am an okay chef, but I don't do cookbooks well. I don't know how to follow them. I mess up recipes. Go get this. It's so simple. It's so easy. I truly, it was like, this is going to sound weird, but it was a fun read. I don't know how to, I know that sounds
That's my
strange.
goal.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. How did you, and we'll get to like more serious questions in a second, but when you were coming up with this read, just like, I'm going to make this seem like I'm your best friend.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, being that the content I create is digital and that, everything I do is video and is on a camera. And like, if you're watching, I can't see you or like, but you see me. And so, with video, my goal is always to, make the viewer feel like they're hanging out with me. And because I feel like we are hanging out. And, with the book, it obviously was a very different medium. It's very physical. You can like touch it. And I really tried to do with the book as well. My goal is that when you read these pages of the book and you're cooking from it, you feel like I'm in the kitchen with you. That was really my goal.
I love that. By the way, I'm just realizing the irony right now that I am taking this call in a kitchen and you're in a living room. I feel like we should swap. But that's okay.
I'm in this little room off my bedroom right now. And oh my God, my dog Ernie, if I may show, my dog Ernie is currently taking a nap over there. He is not abused by our conversation. Oh, he's awake. Okay, never mind.
I thought you had a cat. Do you have a dog or you have a dog and a cat?
I have a dog and a cat. I am already everyone around me always says I'm already like in my like 50s or 60s. Like mentally. Yes, I love pets. Ernie's a rescue and Cardi's a rescue. Very big into rescuing. I want at least like 6 more pets, but I'm holding off until like, I don't know, until life slows down a little bit.
I was going to say, yeah, as someone who doesn't seem like he has a lot of free time, I love that. You're like, I do 50,000 things and I'm going to take care of 6 animals. I'm like, nah, I don't know about that. But
I actually just met Joe from Impractical Jokers, and he said he has 24 dogs.
Are you serious?
He's a comedian, so he might have been joking, but he sounded very serious. He supposedly, him and his wife, like, take care of, like, shelter dogs that need homes, which is so sweet.
My girlfriend is obsessed with Beth Stern. I don't know if you follow her, but it's Howard Stern's wife, and she is really big into animal rescue. And so I pretty much my phone the entire day is just like little videos of cats or like kittens and puppies and everything. And she's like, and we have 2 cats. She's like, should we get more? I'm like, no.
I think yes. Okay, back to the book. Sorry to interrupt you. I love animals.
No. I love it. I want to jump because you talked about, you were like, you're mostly digital. So I want to jump in really fast and talk digital with you. You have, I want to say, I think this number is right, 7 million followers across all social platforms. I believe that's right. I was looking through, you seem to be posting at least like 2 videos a day. Like the pace that you keep up with is incredible. How do you have time for that? And how do you even think to yourself, oh, well, I need to do 2 videos today. I'm going to do whipped chocolate, or to whipped chocolate milk was what it was.
Yes. So I post about 20 to 30 videos every week across social media. Oh God, Ernie has joined the conversation. All right,
Bring
everyone,
him in.
say hello to Ernie.
Oh, I love
Ernie's
Ernie.
the man, the myth, the legend. So I post about 20 to 30 videos a week. On Facebook, I post 3 videos every single day. On YouTube, I post 2 videos a week. On Instagram, I post about 4 or 5 videos a week. On TikTok, 4 or 5 videos a week. And on Snapchat, I have 6 episodes of a Snapchat show that come out every week.
Are they all different videos?
Um, some are syndicated, but I would say a unique videos is about 20 to 20. I would say, yeah, about 22 unique videos a week.
Okay, so I'm curious, and this is for anyone out there who is trying to balance multiple things. How do you make time for that? Is that a strict schedule of like from 9 to 11, I'm doing these 3 videos? Like, how are you balancing all of that?
Yeah, so I have an incredible team behind me. I own a production company called Eitan Productions, and at Eitan Productions, we do other outside productions as well, but we're right now focused on the Eitan Bernath brand. Me, basically, not to talk in third person.
I love it. I'm into it.
So I have 2 culinary producers on my team who help facilitate all things culinary in the company. Because with cooking videos, there's coming up with the idea, there's purchasing the ingredients, there's prepping the ingredients, there's getting the ingredients in the kitchen, there's actually cooking it, then there's the washing the dishes, the storing the food, everything.
Sure.
So I have 2 incredible culinary producers. I have a social media manager who manages all the socials and like making sure everything gets posted. I have 2 full-time video editors and a head of operations who runs the company. So it's made to just look like it's just me having fun in the kitchen with you while you're watching. But it takes a village.
I don't even think I know that many people. Like that's amazing. I love that. Well, that's the other thing that I was thinking a lot about as I watched a lot of your stuff. A lot of chefs, in my understanding, can focus on being a chef. You, who obviously you have to focus on being a chef, you're a great chef, but you also had to learn a whole other set of skills before you were able to, kind of build up to having a team with filming and lighting and editing. Like, how did you balance kind of continuing to move ahead in your culinary journey with figuring out how to film it in a way to best represent it online?
Yeah, so that's a great question. My cooking is heavily affected or heavily, inspired by, you know, algorithms and people's interests. And so, I kind of compartmentalize. So for example, on Facebook, Facebook is one of my main revenue streams. And with the ads that they serve on your videos in Facebook. So, on Facebook, like what does performs really well there are these kind of like very more fun, sensational, like hacky testing things out videos. Anyone who watch my Facebook videos wouldn't necessarily even know that I also like do real deal cooking. That those are kind of just like the fun experimental videos that are like super sensationalized and just fun and entertainment, like purely entertainment. And so I do those on there. Snapchat is kind of the same thing, more kind of sensationalized entertainment. And then on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube is where I do more like the real deal cooking, really teaching you how to cook, how to make recipes, how to cook food that you will want to cook and eat. So for me, it's kind of like 2 different, sections. And, I do divide up, my days during the week. So like, for example, yesterday was a big Snapchat and Facebook day. So yesterday I filmed 4 Facebook videos and 6 Snapchat episodes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so I have different days. So, on Monday of next week, I have a YouTube day. On Tuesday, I have a YouTube day. Then on Wednesday, I have a Snapchat day. And then on Thursday, I have a Facebook day.
So how did you, I mean, obviously you have people now who know how to edit your stuff and light your stuff, but how do you, oh, I love that that says Aton Productions on there. I love it. Rep it. Rep it. Oh my gosh. I,
Gotta rep the brand.
you got to rep the brand. Is that mug purchasable?
No, actually, for last holiday time, Christmas, Hanukkah time, Noah, my head of operations, we like sent out holiday gifts,
Oh,
and they were the
Angela.
mugs. So we got some extra for ourselves, which because
You
they're fun to
gotta.
use.
You gotta. But no, what I was curious about is before you had the team, how did you learn all of these tactics and techniques? Because even your earlier videos, like they still look like they were filmed well. They still look like they were lit well. Did you just teach all this yourself?
Yeah, so I think I'm very much someone who likes to learn by doing thing. When I want to learn something, I just like try to do it, fail, and keep trying. I think that that's really one of the keys, especially on social media. And I think with all these, it was just like I was really wanting to do it, and so I learned it. When I used to edit all my videos myself, I would spend like days editing YouTube videos, like for a single video.
Oh, wow.
And I taught myself, I taught how to use Lightroom. I watched 100 billion YouTube videos of like, obviously Google owns YouTube, love YouTube.
I'll let them know.
YouTube, yes, thank you. YouTube, you can learn absolutely anything. And I would just watch like dozens of videos, like how to do anything I need to know on Premiere, how to light a set, how to work cameras. And so for me, like, just the internet is such a great resource to learn all that.
That's amazing. Wow. So I want to go back to the beginning because one thing that I find really, really, really interesting about you and so surprising is that you started out as a picky eater, as a very picky eater. So, because
Very.
I read a lot, I was reading a lot about you, and in multiple places they talk about how you were a picky eater. So, I guess my question is, first of all, what was the journey from going from a picky eater to someone who, I mean, what a varied cookbook for someone who eats a ton of stuff.
Yeah. So if you told my parents when I was younger that I would work in food, they would absolutely burst out laughing. When I was like, like a toddler and even into my like, not tweens, but like when I started cooking, I was 9, and that really opened up my repertoire. But I would say like up until I was like 8 years old or so, I was a very picky eater. I didn't eat like chicken. I didn't really eat meat. I didn't eat vegetables. I didn't eat fruit. I basically just ate bread.
Oh my gosh.
I was very picky. And cooking, I think for me really, opened up my repertoire a lot. I, just was fascinated with watching people cook and watching food and media and everything. Okay, Ernie, relax. Okay, Ernie's having fun.
Ernie's probably
He
a picky
is.
eater too. We don't know.
Ernie loves chicken. Ernie is very passionate about chicken. He is not a picky eater. He'll eat almost anything and everything. Um, and if I think for me, it was kind of like especially I think creating content online. I started creating content when I was 12 years old. I've been food blogging now for almost a decade. And I release a recipe every single week on my website, eitanbernath.com, since I've been 12. And, I think because of that, I kind of hit a point, when I was cooking when I was around 12 or so, I wasn't a picky eater, but like I was still pretty fussy about a lot of things. I didn't eat that many vegetables or that many fruits. And I kind of got to the point where I committed to releasing a recipe every week. I got to the point where I was like, wait a second, I'm running out of foods that I actually like to eat. And so weirdly, I kind of very quickly had this career in food, and at a weird time, like I was kind of documenting myself opening up my repertoire and trying all these new foods. And actually a common theme in Eitan's world, there's a lot of recipes in here where I'm like, all right, if you think you don't like Brussels sprouts, this Brussels sprout recipe will get you to like Brussels sprouts. I think that's a great example of a recipe where like my whole life I was like, oh, Brussels sprouts, I don't eat Brussels sprouts. And then once I got older and I finally like gave them a real try and had them cooked the right way, I was like, oh wait, I love Brussels sprouts. So they're in the book, my seared Brussels sprouts with okay, fun fact. It's with a chili Dijon pan sauce. Fun little fact. The names of the recipes in cookbooks are one of the last things that are finalized. So for like a year, I was calling all these recipes one thing, and then before it went to print, a bunch of the names changed. So one of the hardest parts of doing book things like this is when I say the name of a recipe, I have to always double check. I'm like, is it a new name or is it the name that I've been calling it for a year?
Oh, yeah. Well, when you said Brussels sprouts, I remember this year Brussels sprouts because yes, yes, I had Brussels sprouts last night for dinner, and I was
Oh,
telling Jess, I was like, we should have made his seared Brussels sprouts, and she goes, you don't want to screw up someone's recipe the day before you interview them, and I was like, that's fair. That's
fair.
true. That's totally fair. Well, this is probably an unfair question. Obviously, you started as a picky eater. You're not a picky eater now. Is there any, and I don't know if you're willing to share this, is there any food that you still kind of won't eat? Like that you're like, it's cool, but I don't want it.
Bananas. I have never
Bananas.
outgrown my despisation. Is that a word?
It
No.
could be. Let's make it one now.
Yeah, like I despise it. I feel like despisation could be a word.
I'm fine with it.
Here's the best part. I will Google it after this.
Yeah.
Um, And for bananas, I really hate bananas. It's a me problem. I know that the whole world has decided that as a world we like bananas. Eitan Bernath is the problem, not bananas.
I'll tell you that if it makes you feel any better. So I do like bananas. I still like you, but I do like bananas.
Thank you.
My girlfriend won't eat bananas, so I understand.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. I'm so excited to get into talking about Indian food because that's my favorite food. So jazzed to talk to you about this. Indian food seems to be one of your favorite cuisines. When did you, as someone who's a picky eater, by the way, that or was a picky eater, that's shocking. But when did you first eat Indian food? And separately, when did you first cook Indian food?
So yeah, I started eating Indian food in my mom's womb. She she ate Indian food a lot when she was pregnant with me. And then, just growing up, we ate a lot of Indian food. All my neighbors actually, where I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, on our block, almost all of them were Indian or Pakistani. And I grew up, hanging out with their kids, and like while we were hanging out, I'd always like mosey onto the kitchen and see what the mom was cooking. And so I've always been surrounded by a lot of Indian cuisine. My mom loves Indian cuisine, so she cooks it often. We go to vegetarian Indian restaurants around this Jersey in the city. We just always ate Indian food. I now happen to live right near Little India in Manhattan. So I would say, and people like think I'm joking when I say this, I eat Indian food about, I would say, on about 6 days a week. Yeah. No, no, like I eat it basically every day.
Wow.
I actually, for lunch today, I got a medu vada and an idli from, I forget the place called, it's one of my favorite places that does good takeout. Like very genuinely eat Indian food basically every single day. It's my favorite cuisine. It's like, even though of course I am not Indian, I'm Jewish. Obviously, it is my favorite cuisine. It's my comfort food. There's nothing that makes me happier than eating Indian food.
I mean, I love it. I love korma. I'm with it. I just had some, I think,
Yes,
like 3 days ago.
yes. Oh my God, love your mug as well.
Oh, hey, there you go. Listen, I one day I'm gonna get an Aton mug, but for now, I've got RBG with me. So okay, so you had Indian food really early, and you said your mom cooked it. Was your mom kind of the gateway for you to try cooking it? Were you just like, hey, if you could cook it, I'd love to help?
It was kind of more like I was watching a lot of Food Network and a lot of Guy Fieri, and I would ask my mom like, "Oh, can you make this like guac burger with beer battered onion rings that I saw a guy make?" And she's like, "I don't know how to make that." Like my mom's also gluten free. She's like, "I don't know how to make that. Like, why don't you try?" And I got in the kitchen and I really just fell in love with cooking. It really started as kind of like, all right. I always joke that I get pregnancy cravings, even though it's physically impossible. But like
I'm
when I
here for it.
hear, yeah, when I hear pregnant women that I have known throughout my life describe their pregnancy cravings, I'm like, I feel that. Like I
Sure.
understand that on a deep level, even though in a physical sense I obviously can't. Um, I've always just had really strong cravings for food, and I kind of started. I was like, oh, I realized I was like, all right, if I crave this food, if I cook it, I then can eat it. And that was kind of mind blowing to little Aton. And that was kind of like what got me started interested in cooking. And then I really just fell in love with like the art of it, the creativity behind it, the endless source of information to learn. I think one of my favorite things about food and about cooking is you can never know everything. Growing up and still both my parents work in education. I happen to right now not be attending college. I am enrolled at Columbia here in the city. Education is really important to me, and I love learning. And with food, there's no end. Gordon Ramsay probably knows less than 5% of all there is to know about cooking, and he's like an expert because there's 100 billion other cuisines. Well, not that many, probably not 100 billion. That's a bit much.
Listen, we don't know. It's
Hundred, yeah,
possible.
I'll Google it. Hundreds of thousands of cuisines, and even like an Indian cuisine. A lot of people think of Indian cuisine as this kind of one thing, but Indian cuisine is so many things. There's Indian cuisine. There's tens of thousands of cuisines within India. And whether it's in Goa and they have a lot of fish in Goa, or in Mumbai in the north they have lots of wheat there, so they have naan and roti. In the south they grow legumes, so they have a lot of rice and lentils and dal. There's even in that one country of India, there's so much variety in cuisine, and that's one of like I was gonna say billions of countries. That would
Listen,
I was gonna make that joke, but I wasn't sure if it would land. So I was like, either they're gonna think I'm stupid, or the joke won't land. So yeah, no, I'm like the hundreds of countries. So there's just so much to learn, and I love
oh, by the way, I'm here for the jokes. I want you to know I'm here for it.
that.
Yeah, it's so funny when you were talking about Indian food. I wish someone had told me a lot more about Indian food because the first time I had Southern Indian food, no one warned me that it could be a lot spicier. So the first time I had it, I was like, "Oh, this is so great!" And then I started sweating. I'm like, "Abort! This is not good. I can't. We need to not do this."
Actually, it's so funny. My family was in the city, and I forget why, but they went to like an Indian restaurant without me, which is a little offensive. But I think I
I
was
would not
busy.
do that.
And my dad called me after, and he's like, "Yeah, we went to this restaurant. It was terrible. They only had dosas and idli." And I was like, "What restaurant did you go to?" Because my dad, like, he doesn't love Indian cuisine. Like, he eats it 'cause we all eat it. But he he loves aloo gobi. It's like, they didn't have any aloo gobi. I was like, "What restaurant did you go to?" And he told me, and I was like, "Dad, that's a South Indian restaurant, so they don't serve those things." And he was like, "Oh." He was like very confused because like the cuisine we usually eat, at least my family, is a lot more Northern Indian cuisine. I feel like abroad in the U.S., most of the Indian restaurants are Northern Indian cuisine. But yeah, it was very funny. I was like, "Dad, you wouldn't go into a Mexican restaurant looking for pizza. You can't go into a South Indian restaurant looking for North Indian cuisine."
No, certainly not. And by the way, I have to. This is not one of my prepared questions. But I'm just so curious. So you just mentioned Colombia. Have you eaten at roti roll?
No, so I'm enrolled at Columbia. I have deferred for the past 2 years.
Okay.
Um, and I'm currently I'm in a specialized program called GS. So I'm basically able to kind of go at your own pace. It's for working professionals. So I actually have not been on campus since I toured it when I applied. Um,
Well, if you
but
do, like for any Columbia students, shout out to you, Roti Roll. It's like a late night wonderful Indian food spot. So you should go check it out.
that sounds incredible. Yeah, unfortunately, it is quite a trek from where I live.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
one of the I live in like right below Midtown, which, yeah, oh my God, I actually recently found out the neighborhood I live in is technically considered part of Midtown, which sounds scary to me. I was pretty horrified when I found out, but I love my neighborhood, so it's okay. But I don't know. I feel like Midtown is like office buildings, but like I don't know.
No, listen, I love the area that you live in. We were talking about that earlier. Um, I did want to ask, by the way. So we're talking about Indian food. One of the things you mentioned, I caught this little snippet in the book, and I thought this was so funny that you campaigned your parents to put a tandoor oven in your house. Which, by the way, what kid is saying that to their parents? Like, I need a tandoor oven in my house. Now, I know you said you didn't succeed, but have you cooked in traditional tandoor ovens since then? Is your dream still to put one in your first home?
Yes. So my parents redid our kitchen when I was like 16, I think, or 17. And we were like, basically, they kind of gutted the room and like completely redid it. And I made a PowerPoint presentation explaining why we should get a tandoor oven, and how we could use it, and like all the use cases for why this is a good idea. Unfortunately, tandoor ovens are not cheap. They're also massive and very hot. So I did not win that discussion, but actually I have not had the opportunity to cook in a tandoor oven yet. I actually was supposed to go to India as a trip right after high school, and then this thing called COVID happened.
Oh, sure.
Um,
I've heard of it.
yes, and so that did not happen, but I'm dying to go.
I cannot believe like of any place that I would imagine that like you would want to go, I would imagine India would be the place. I feel like you would just like eat your way through that whole place.
Yeah, I would
Um
need to become like a cow and have multiple stomachs because I yeah, I I will need to prepare myself for weeks before I go. Like the amount of spicy food I'll eat, like it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Yeah, with a Jewish stomach, hard to take. But actually I did not mean for this segue to happen, but I'm gonna use it. I want to talk, it is Jewish Heritage Month. So I do want to talk a little bit about from one Jew to another, about some Jewish stuff. Um, your roots in Jewish culture seem to be a really large part of your identity. I love it from your cooking to wearing your kippah. Like it seems to be a very nice part of your identity. how often do you think about integrating your culture, integrating your Jewishness into your food, or kind of how you present yourself as a chef?
Yeah, so it's also obviously in Eitan Eats World. I'm a, as everyone, well, not everyone knows, as a lot of people who follow me, I'm a very proud Jew, and I think that being a Jew in the public eye, comes with a lot of responsibility. I think I quickly realized, once I grew on social media, that where we live in New York and New Jersey, like everyone's Jewish, like everyone knows a Jewish person.
Sure.
But the reality is, I mean, around the world, like we make up, like, I think less than 2% of the world's population, and 0.2% of the world's population, some very small
We
number.
Whoever's so curious, go Google it. But yes, go ahead.
I want to see how many times we could tell people to Google things while at a Google Talk.
It's free advertising.
Um,
You know what I mean? We're doing
yes.
it. We're making it happen.
And whatever, we make up a like tiny percent of the world's population, and most people have never probably met someone Jewish or don't know anyone Jewish, and unfortunately, there's crazy things that people believe about us Jews. And there's anti-Semitism's on the rise. The Anti-Defamation League reported that last year, anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. were up by 43%, which is very alarming. And so I think that comes with like a great sense of responsibility. And like I know that for a lot of people, I'm one of the only Jews that they necessarily know or interact with. And for me, I really try to lead by example and show the world like what a Jew is like. A Jew is someone who cares about the world, who cares about people around them, who cares about other people and taking care of the world and taking care of other people, and spreading kindness and positivity. And so for me, that's super important. And, in Eitan Eats the World, there's a bunch of delicious Jewish recipes. One of my favorite in the book, it's actually also on the dedication page. The book's dedicated to my late grandfather, Larry. And it is my grandma's chicken soup with matzo balls. And actually, in terms of how my Jewish identity comes up in the recipes, beyond just Jewish cuisine, actually, one of my favorite little kind of head notes in the book is the Chilaquiles recipe.
You mentioned matzo brie in there.
Yes, I say I'm introducing this classic Mexican dish by talking about a classic Jewish breakfast dish. Matzo brie is a dish we usually eat during Passover, and it's basically scrambled eggs and matzah and unleavened bread, almost like a cracker cooked together. And then I go on to talk about how chilaquiles always has reminded me of matzo brie. So I think it has a big impact on the food I cook, and I think for a while when I was younger, I've been creating content since I was 12. I like I always had liked Jewish food, but cooking, I was very always excited with cooking to cook other food. So I
Sure.
didn't really make it a big part of my content. Like, well, like I guess it's just not as exciting because it's like what's normal to me. But I think the last few years I realized like, wait, but like that's a perspective I can share with the world. So as I've gotten older, I've incorporated more and more into my content.
I mean, do you look through the lens of like when you're looking at different food? And I think like chilaquiles is a great example. Which, by the way, I love both chilaquiles and matzo brie. But like when you're looking at other foods, do you sometimes look through the lens of kind of Jewish food to say like, oh, this is kind of like matzo brie, or this is kind of like matzo ball soup, or I just to be clear, by the way, for anyone's listening, Jews don't just eat matzah. I happen to use those two examples. Like or brisket or whatever it may be. Do you look through the lens of kind of Jewish food often?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's cool about food is like there's certain like types of food that every culture does. For example, like dumplings. Everyone has a dumpling. Whether you go to Indian cuisine with samosas, or if you go to a lot of African cuisines, of course I'm blanking on the name. They have dumplings. All different Asian cuisines have delicious dumplings. Jews obviously have like kreplach, and you can kind of go everywhere in the world and find dumplings. On top of that, all right, I'm forgetting my other examples, but I think it is very interesting, when you cook different cuisines, like how things are similar to other cuisines. And honestly, I think an interesting part of the Jewish experience and of the history of Jews is because of persecution, we're everywhere. Like there's Indian Jews, there's Mexican Jews, there's Italian Jews, there's American Jews, there's Canadian Jews, there's African Jews. Like because of unfortunate persecution, being kicked out of our land and wherever we were living so often. I feel like as Jews, like, eating food from other cultures is such a part of our history,
Mm,
because we were kind of forced to. When we were, kicked out of the Middle East, a lot of Jews into Europe, our food became very, not Europeanized. I don't know if that's a word, but
let's
I
make
just,
it one.
again,
I'm in.
let's make it one.
Yeah.
Got more or Eurocentric, I think it's the right word. If you look at the food that Jews cook there, and I think it's very interesting, then look at Jews like Sephardi Jews who, were able to survive and stay in countries like Persia, and Iraq and all those countries for a while. The similarities between our cuisine, but also the stark differences that really are because of, the cultures that we were pushed into living in. And I think it's like a really interesting thing that I honestly am very interested in learning more about.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it's funny. It's like I cook at home, but one of the jokes that I often have with friends is one of the reasons I could never become a chef is because I don't eat meat. So like I couldn't really try half the things, you know.
Mhm.
I wonder, as someone who keeps kosher, like, do you find that stands in the way sometimes if you're like, if you're with other chefs and they're like, try this, or you want to make a dish and you're like, oh, this is traditionally made in a way that I can't eat. Like, do you find that to be a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, every recipe in A Times World is kosher, and I think there's a lot of little things in the book that kosher cooks will realize, that other like cooks who aren't kosher, wouldn't necessarily realize. For example, I have a really great recreation of the In and Out,
The out
the
and
In and
in.
Out, yeah, Out and In. That was legality. We had to we had to call it Out and in the book, and so for that I use plant-based protein, or in the queso fundido, using plant-based protein. So there's a lot of little things like that a lot of kosher chefs will realize. But I think that I happen to actually be someone who doesn't eat that much meat either. I'm not vegetarian, but like I I'm not a big carnivore. Like there's tons of meat recipes in the book. But I'm definitely, I would say, like I probably eat meat like once or twice a week. I'm not like the most carnivorous person.
Well, so we know that's a word. So that's good. We got that.
Yes.
I love how you gave me a look. You're like carnivorous. I'm like, yeah, we got it. No, so on this note of kind of a lot of these different ways of eating, I have to give a shout out to both your grandmas, Bobby and Linda. Shout out.
Yes.
Um, did you have dishes that they kind of introduced you to when you were growing up that you fell in love with, that maybe iterations somehow other than that soup we just talked about might have found their way into the book?
Yeah. So actually, the soup chapter. Okay, Ernie is so excited about our
He
talk.
loves
Okay.
soup.
Yes, he loves. I don't actually. Yeah, he would like soup because it has meat in it. So actually, the soup chapter in the book, I kind of say is like the family chapter. When you flip through it, just kind of every recipe. Oh God. Okay, Ernie, I'm gonna put you on the floor because I need to talk to my friends at Google. Um, when you look in the chapter, there's truly, it's kind of like a family affair in this chapter. Really just everyone's kind of getting involved. So we have obviously my grandma Linda's chicken soup,
Yep.
which is a recipe that's very near and dear, to my heart. Which of course I can't. Oh, here we go. Grandma Linda's chicken soup.
Love it.
I write in the head note that my grandma Linda makes the best. Here, I like it. I'll read it. We all know that everyone thinks their grandma makes the best chicken soup, so won't surprise you know that my grandma Linda makes the best chicken soup, and if you disagree, you're wrong, which is something that I stand by.
I believe it.
Yes, I mean, Mushroom Bobo is written by a good family friend. And then Grandma Bobby has a gazpacho recipe in the book. Grandma Bobby is a woman who loves gazpacho. And I had to include her, here we go, her gazpacho recipe in the book. So the grandmas make appearances in the book.
Amazing. And do they have, and I'm sure you're going to say that, I'm sure they love everything that you make, but do each of them maybe have like a favorite from the book? Like, or a favorite
Hmm.
that you make generally?
They both really love when I make babka, which is in the book.
I mean, how
Um,
can you not love babka? Yeah, for sure.
I know everyone who writes a book says that their recipes are great, but I do have to say the babka recipe in the book I do believe is probably one of the best homemade babka recipes out there. Let me just show you that cross section for a
Oh my
second.
heavens. Yeah, I want it now. Send it. Can you ship that? Ship that over here.
Yes, I actually have a 3D printer, if that makes it instantly. Um, that is a recipe. So, it's a lot of the recipes, Eitan's World of Recipes, I actually developed when I was much younger. That then when I got this book deal, I kind of, updated and obviously, wrote then in the voice of a 19-year-old or 20-year-old.
Sure.
But the got Ernie? No, okay. Ernie needs attention. I just put Ernie on the floor and he said, I need to talk to everyone at Google.
I understand.
He has a lot to say. And so this recipe, the babka recipe, is actually one that I developed like years ago, probably when I was like 12 or 13.
Oh my gosh.
And I did a lot of research. I kind of started with just like a kind of basic and rich dough, and just kept on trying to make it better and better. I'd make it 1 week for Shabbat. We'd all try it, give the feedback. Next week, I would try again. I went through so many iterations of the dough, of the fillings, of the bake time, of how to roll it, how to fold it. That recipe probably took like 20 to 30 times of making it till it was like perfect.
That's amazing. I'll just put it this way. If you're ever in LA, we'll get you making some babka, bring you over here. I know that you've cooked a lot of different styles. What, given that you're kind of as experienced as you are, what still gets you excited in the kitchen?
Yeah, so there's a store here in the city that I actually live pretty close to called Collusions. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I haven't, but I hope they're sponsoring this talk. Yeah, go ahead.
They are not, unfortunately, but I love Collusions. It is a massive like Indian spice store.
Oh wow.
They sell probably, I would say, thousands of spices. Like they have spices and powders and everything of every single dried item ever created on earth. Like if you want to get like chili peppers, they have a dried chili room. A room. Yes. And it's just a store that like whenever I feel culinarily stunted, I just walk in, and I don't do this literally because that'd be creepy, but you could like close your eyes, walk around like this, and just grab an item, and you'll get inspired. Like I think for me, like that's really like I love just like really learning about, and like a big ingredient that I really fell in love with a few months ago is Sichuan peppercorns. And
Interesting.
I found it at Collusions, and I mean it's a widely known thing. It's like I discovered anything, but it was new for me, and I fell in love with it and just like kept cooking with it. And like I really feel like if you're ever culinarily stunted, like find a spice and like that you've never cooked before, never eaten before, and like go to town with it.
Oh, I love that. That's really good advice. This is a weird question, but you mentioned a lot of utensils in the book, and I am curious if you had to pick kind of desert island 3 to 5 utensils where you're like, if you want to cook, these are kind of the 3 to 5 things that you need. What would they be?
What about, is a pan count or no, just utensils?
I mean, we could throw it in. We could say, let's say a pan, sure.
All right, I would say a saucepan. It's like one with kind of a nice side to it. A whisk, very important. I use whisks for mashing guacamole. Well, let's imagine you're on a desert island, but there's also a grocery store.
Sure.
Yeah. I actually write about in the book. I mash avocados with a whisk for guacamole. It makes the best guacamole. Highly recommend trying. You look confused, but just give it a try.
I know you mentioned a whisk at the top. At the top part of the book, you do mention a whisk, but that's just like mind blowing to me. Okay.
I use them for mashed potatoes. There's just like there's so many applications to use it. So I'd say a whisk, the pan, a good chef's knife, a wooden cutting board, and a wooden spoon.
Why a wooden cutting board over a plastic cutting board?
I like the feel of it more when I'm cutting.
Okay. That's a great answer. Yeah. I'm sitting here because I'm nervous because I have a plastic cutting board and I'm like, oh no, like Eitan's judging.
There's nothing wrong with it. I just personally like a good wooden cutting board.
I mean, I get that. There's so many things that I think are insane about your story in the most like cool ways. One of them is that in December of 2020, you became the principal culinary contributor, which by the way is a mouthful of a phrase, but you became that. for the Drew Barrymore show on CBS. So just to boil that down for people that are not quite getting this, before you were even legally able to drink, you were the principal culinary contributor for a show on network television with one of the biggest celebrities, someone who like my grandmother knows Drew Barrymore. You know what I mean? Like that's a big thing. What was that call like when you got that call? What was your I just want to hear that whole story, that whole experience from you.
Yeah, so I first did just one appearance on the show with Drew, and it was just like a one-off kind of opportunity. And Drew and I just really like had great chemistry on camera. We really like hit it off, and they asked me back on it like a few more times. And then I got a call from my team that the show was looking to have me have like an official role on the show. And I agree that the name is quite long. I remember they tell me like, all right, so you're going to be the principal culinary contributor. I'm like, what does that mean? That is a bunch of words put
Sure.
together. Um, but yeah, I was super excited, so honored. You know, Variety reported. I didn't even know this until they reported. Variety reported that I was the first. I don't use this word to describe myself, but the first TikToker to uh, land a role on national television, daytime national television. And for me, I was just really honored. You know, I obviously primarily work in digital, but I love working in television. The energy on a TV set is unlike any other. And you know, to work with someone like Drew, who's such an expert at being on camera and at entertaining, and she really just has such a love for food. You know, she's such a kind, genuine person. You know, both off camera and on camera, and we obviously had a working relationship, but then also off camera really developed an incredible friendship, and she is just such a kind, like, incredible person, both on camera and off.
Yeah, I mean that's I am still so impressed that you're just like, yeah, and I just became the principal culinary contributor. I just did it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, that is it kind of speaks to so you have met some of the I mean, just the list, and this is not at all comprehensive. So I want anyone who's like watching or listening to this to know that the list I'm about to give is not at all comprehensive. But folks you have met include, but are not limited to, President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Drew Barrymore, Guy Fieri, Gordon Ramsay, Bill Gates. Like, this is a very long list of people. And I don't want to make you choose because it's not nice, but I'm kind of going to. The two-parter question, who were you most excited to meet and who were you most intimidated meeting?
So yes, I mean I've been really grateful to have been able to meet and in like a work capacity, not like a meet and greet capacity. Um, some incredible people, obviously Drew. I recently filmed a collaboration with Bill Gates, and we did a video together. Obviously I worked with Drew. I was invited by Jill Biden to attend the Hanukkah ceremony at the White House this past year, where I met the president and vice president. I've gotten to meet Guy Fieri and cook for Guy, and so many incredible people, and I'm so incredibly grateful. And there's others also, but I think the one I was most intimidated, I would say, would be the president.
Yeah, it's gotta be, right?
Yes, I was also just a very emotional night. Just like kind of standing in the White House. I was actually the only entertainer invited to the ceremony. It was all just rabbis and politicians. And so it wasn't like an entertainment event. It was a politician and rabbi event, which is quite a good mix, I must say. It was very entertaining to people watch. And so, at the end, I went up to meet the president, and I think, just something about being in like the most powerful building on earth with the most powerful person on earth, proudly Jewish, celebrating this holiday that I've grown up celebrating, and my ancestors have celebrated for thousands of years, was just surreal. And I think it felt like a dream. I think who I was most excited. I mean, that'll probably be also who. Probably I was most excited to meet Guy Fieri, because he really inspired me to cook, and I was fortunate to have met him a bunch of times. I competed on the show. He's a really nice guy. No pun intended.
No, well, you know what's so funny about him is like, like people make jokes about the hair or whatever, but every single so I've met, you're probably, I don't know, the third, fourth person I've met that's actually met him. No one has a single bad thing to say about this guy. Like he is everyone I know that has met him is like, he is the nicest. He's so friendly. His food's actually delicious. Like and I'm just like, yeah, you don't get that far without being a nice guy. Um,
Yeah, no, he is. He really is.
Yeah, I can't. And by the way, I did watch some clips from you on the show. I just want you to know on the guys' grocery games. I did watch some of that.
Thank you. Yeah,
You
I would think weirdly, actually, the person I was least intimidated to meet, just because he's just like a nice, like he's just like a nice old man in the best way possible, was Bill. Um,
that's
he
crazy.
he just has like his energy is just like a kind of like a grandpa, but like a very with it, extremely smart, um, cute grandpa. And so that was the energy I got from him. So I was honestly like a very relaxing, chill conversation.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I always have chill, relaxing conversations with Bill Gates. He and I, we just have chill. We have a good vibe. No, I love that. I love that. I do. I just because I know that time is a flying. I want to touch on something that I don't know how many people know, and I thought it was really cool about you. Is that not only do you do 50,000 projects, I certainly don't want to take away from that, but you also do work with City Harvest, which is a food rescue organization, and Animal Haven, which is an animal rescue organization. I would love to hear more about how you got involved in those things and kind of how they affect you and how they play into your life.
Yeah, so I'm really, really grateful to be on the Food Council of City Harvest. For those who don't know, City Harvest is the first and largest food rescue uh, uh, organization here in New York City. And basically, what City Harvest does is they find food that isn't going to be used and rescues it and delivers it and transports it to wherever that food is needed. You know what? Oh my God! 1 second. I'm sorry. Ernie is just
He's on the
simply too
table.
cute. He is just lounging. Okay, sorry. Back to the important stuff.
No, I love it.
I just had to do a brief dog intermission. City Harvest, City Harvest, supplies food banks with food. They do mobile markets, and so sitting on the food council, the work I do with them is help amplify the work they do, bring awareness to it, help them raise money to fund the work that they do. Most recently, I've actually had a lot going on with City Harvest, which has been really fun. There was the big gala, which is what helps them raise. Like I think while we were there, they had an auction, and someone donated $1.2 million at the auction for a dinner cooked by Eric Repair with a live performance from uh, John Legend.
Oh, that's so weird. I actually had that a couple days ago. That's so funny. Someone paid that much for that.
Wait, were
They
you
just
the
came over.
bidder?
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you this. This is like
Oh, okay, sorry.
I've been keeping this hush.
Got
Yeah.
it. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So I went to that, which is incredible. And then recently, I lit up the Empire State Building with City Harvest.
Wow.
Yes, that was Monday night, this past week,
Oh, so very
and
recent. Yeah.
yes, it was very crazy. It was this really cool day at the Empire State Building. I actually filmed a cooking video on top. But yeah, so I lit up this Empire State Building. It was really fun with them, and that was to raise awareness um, of their campaigns going on. And most recently, actually, also this week on Wednesday, me and my team at Eitan Productions volunteered for the first half of the day at one of City Harvest mobile markets, which is they run them twice a month. Well, they have nine locations around the 5 boroughs, and each location does it two times a month. And these mobile markets are, they basically just set up a market. Looks like a market you'd probably buy groceries at, but it's for New Yorkers who need food. And so my team and I went there and we helped unpack the food, get it on the tables, hand it out to people. And it was just really a really incredible experience. And it's very easy to take food for granted because I cook with it all day long and I have so much food. Oh God. I have so much food, and to remember that there's so many New Yorkers in need. 1 in 4 New York City children don't know where their next meal is going to come from. There's so much need. It's really important for me, and it was just a really incredible to be able to help out New Yorkers and just you know, give them a smile. Hello, good morning. Like, thank you so much for coming, and giving them some food that they really need. It was an incredible experience, and I'm just so happy to be able to give back in that way.
I love that. And I also just want to briefly touch on Animal Haven.
Yes.
You're involved with them as well?
Yeah, so Ernie actually was a rescue from Animal
I
Haven.
love that.
Uh, he's very sleepy right now. And my cat Cardi, he's not from Animal Haven, but he's also a rescue. I'm very big on rescues. I've always been a big animal person. I love pets. Like Ernie is like one of the number one sources of happiness in my life. I love Ernie. And so with Animal Haven, they are, one of New York City's biggest rescues. They're a no-kill shelter, and they not only like take in dogs to get them into homes, but they offer free surgeries for the dogs when they need, and whatever health care they need. And I think for me, like as an animal lover, like I want to be able to help other people find rescues. I think uh, it's like there's so many dogs out there that need homes, and that is what Animal Haven does. And I just started working with them in a formal capacity, so we haven't done quite too much yet. But we're getting the gears going, and I'm excited to kind of just even learn more about how I can best support the work they do.
I love that. I love that. Well, I want to get to some questions from some viewers, if that's okay. So
Yes.
we're gonna jump right into this. First question is from Jess Denoya. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think that I am. What is your favorite dish that you've cooked in the past few days?
Um, okay, one that's very simple in the book. So the book kind of has, as you know, a wide variety of complexity of the recipes. There's super complex things like making, shepherd's pie from scratch, or making, chicken soup that you have to boil for a while, or some desserts like creme brulee or babka. But those are some super easy ones, and there's supposed to be a little bit for everyone. The recipe that I make the most often, I make it every single weekend, is the PB&J pancakes.
Oh, they look
They're
so
so
good.
easy. They're so delicious. They are like my go-to.
I love that. I love that. All right, let's jump to the next one. This next question is from Blake Ching Chang. And Blake asked, what are your favorite food destinations in the US and overseas? I'm curious about this one too.
Okay, like my favorite in the US is New York City, which I
It
know
has to
is the
be.
cliche answer, but I mean it's true. Like I one of my favorite things about living in the city is like there's everything here you could ever imagine, food wise. So yeah, I think definitely New York City. Outside of the US, where where's my favorite place? I want to say India premeditatively.
I mean, it would be shocking if you didn't say that. That's where my head thought you were going to go India or like London because London has a lot of Indian food. So I was like, maybe he's going
True.
there, but I don't
I
know.
mean, I mean, Italy. I went out to Italy during Christmas break, and I ate my fair share of pasta and pizza. So that
You
was
have
also
to.
pretty great.
You have
Yeah.
to. Okay, so this next one, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly. So I'm going to apologize in advance. This next one's from Rebecca, and she wants to know, do you enjoy making cholent ever? And if so, what's your favorite ingredient to include in it? And she also wanted to say shout out to T-Neck.
Yes. Yes. Hello, Rebecca. I am born and raised in Teaneck, New Jersey. I Chillant is actually not a food I really particularly like. It's
What
like
is it?
it's a classic like Jewish stew that's made on Shabbat. It's cooked in a slow cooker like overnight, over
Oh,
Friday night, and then served at lunch. I'm not a big chillin person, to be totally honest. So I don't have a favorite ingredient. My favorite ingredient is not chillin, probably.
is it embarrassing that as a Jew I've never heard of this dish? Like never.
I mean, no. It's like no. I think no. I give you the pass on that one.
I appreciate it. And I think I have a feeling that this next question that's going to come from Alex has to do with eating kosher. So Alex asks you what you prefer, fake cheese on real meat or fake meat with real cheese?
Definitely fake meat with real cheese. Plant-based meat has come a much further way than plant-based cheese.
That's a great, I mean, listen, it's succinct and I'm with it. The very last question I'm going to ask you, and then I swear I'm going to let you go, because this you wrote about this, you've talked about this, and it meant a lot to me. Is you mentioned in the cookbook that you don't let your insecurities get in the way of doing what you love, and that's a lesson personally. Like, I'm in my 30s, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Mhm.
How do you put those insecurities in the back seat so you can focus on all the stuff you're doing and continue to do the thing that you love?
Yeah, so I have grown up in the public eye. I've been creating videos since I was 12. And, I kind of had to grow up very quickly because, whenever you put yourself out there, especially in entertainment, you're putting yourself out there and, people are crazy on the internet. And, every little thing is kind of nitpicked that you do, whether it's what you wear, how your skin looks, how you talk, what you're doing, who you choose to be with, what you choose not to do, what you choose to do. Every little thing is scrutinized by the public. And I think, for those of you watching and, for people that don't work in entertainment, I think, it's also relatable in general in life. Uh, Everyone has an opinion about everything. And I think, what I learned really quickly was that it's impossible to make everyone happy, because what makes everyone happy is different. So, if I post a video uh, and one person's like, "This is stupid. I don't like this," another person loves it. Like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And I think that I kind of learned to not listen to either the extremes. The extreme hate that you get online is very bad for mental health, and I honestly think the extreme positive is also bad for mental health because I think could make you have an ego and all that, which I really try not to. I think that for me, like what I really always believe is that what someone else says about you says everything about them and nothing about you, especially if they don't know you. I mean, even if someone knows you, I think that it's especially true on the internet and on social media. Not just people who work in social media get hate comments. Everyone knows, I'm sure, at one point in their life has gotten a mean comment on social media. And I really do believe it says absolutely nothing about you and absolutely everything about that person. And I'd say that Gary Vaynerchuk says that I really like when he talks about hate comments online, is I really try to, look at them through the lens of empathy. If this person was having a good day, would they choose to take time out of their day to hate on you? If that person was happy, would this be what they're choosing to spend their time doing? And the answer is no. And so I think that, the way I really try to think about it is just from empathy. Like, I feel bad that that person felt the need to write that mean thing. They obviously are upset. If someone, for example, writes and tells you that you look ugly, they're probably self-conscious how they look, and they're taking that out on you. Where if someone writes that you're stupid, baby, they're stupid. Like, sounds
Sure.
silly when you say it like that, but it really is true that it's so important, in all facets of life, that to know that other people's mean comments or things are everything about them and nothing about you.
I mean, I don't know if there is a better way that we could possibly end this. Eitan, thank you so much for the time. The book is Eitan Eats the World. Get it wherever you can get books. This is an amazing cookbook. I couldn't more highly recommend it. Eitan, you were awesome. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Ernie says, I hope everyone has a great weekend, right? Bye,
Bye, Ernie. We'll
everyone.
miss you. We will miss Ernie very much.
Yes. You want to say bye to everyone? He says no. Ernie is too tired to say bye, right? That's all Ernie does. All Ernie does is just relax.
Listen, what a life. What a life.
Yes.
Eitan, thank you so much. Everyone else, have a great weekend. Take care.
Bye.